With the FIPS-Mouche World Fly Fishing Championships being held in Slovakia this week, we're bringing you the updates from each day's fishing from Ireland team captain Dec Conlan. Dec will tell us how the fishing has been for the Irish as well as the rest of the leading countries. So Dec, tell us how day one went.
Yeah, very exciting out here. Team are really keen. They're loving it. Very excited. There's the best thing about this place, Slovakia, is these rivers are just fish soup. And even when they're hammered, then there's the one we didn't get a chance to take the fly because their mates were bullied them and took all the flies. So you get to go with the new guys all the time, and it's been good. Yeah,
excellent.
You get periods, it switches off. If it gets windy, the grayling won't take the dries off top. You have to go down for them. If the wind drops, you're straight back into maybe chucking a few dries at them. So you get to do a little bit of everything. We fished the Rakuva, the Huron, the Arava. We had a very good guide, Peter Jurisic. England used him before and they medalled years ago, and they had individual performances where they, the won sessions with 58 and 63 fish, that kind of thing. And that's what you're contending with here at the moment. When you look at the groups, for argument's sake, we'll take our first angler in Group A, Dec Conlan. So David he's in a group there, and straight away you look at Ander Perez from Spain, you have the Pat Weiss from America, you have the Gregoire. Like what an angler! Like just to get to fish against these guys, like they are the best of the best. Andrea Beretti from Italy. And you'll have all these little battles going on, smaller little battles. Actually, one of our probably most important little battles will always be with the English anyway. I might as well say it, think it. They're watching us and we're watching them. And but David went into today after drawing a beat that we were led to believe possibly might be chub. It's something we hadn't done much work on because we just didn't get time to go after chub. However, we were told by our guide that if you're looking for chub, you could be in trouble. And that was verified to me tonight by a Swedish angler. So David got into it and had a fantastic session. He had 31 fish. 31 fish would win sessions anywhere, but
that is fantastic. That is a fantastic.
You're talking very fine margins there. It was an excellent performance in fairness to him. I've watched him. He's technically very good. Technically a very good angler, and particularly a very good dry fly angler, which I kind of warm to. I like watching good dry fly anglers. I like dry fly fishing myself, but I watched him in the build-up and I knew that if those fish, Dave has everything in his artillery to catch them. And he did, put in a great show. And I mean, he had 31 fish, but he had a Belgian above him. And these Belgians have picked a new team over the last 3 or 4 years. I think I told you that in my recent chat with you. Yeah, he was only getting beaten by Belgian anglers, the Finnish, the Spanish, the French, South Africans. So, no, pretty good performance today. So Gregoire won that session. That was on the Arava River. And he won it with a stunning, 65 fish, Tom.
Oh, yeah, I just see that. What fish were they grayling?
Grayling, predominantly grayling.
Right.
I think all Daves were grayling too. He might have caught a trout or two, but I think it was mostly grayling. That was it's a very good grayling river, and there's some big grayling in it. There's a Rab Maxwell who I know very well. He's a good lad from Scotland, and Rab got one, 45, 46 centimetres. Really big grayling, So there's great fish in it. Dave even told me I think he had 2 or 3 fish break him today, So it's it's a good start for Dave. Good start for the team.
Move to Group B. That's the VAR, I think. River VAR.
Probably our most experienced international angler, John Buckley, was in that group, and he was up against Tom Jarman, who'd be, even though he's not from a European country. Tom's an Australian. He's an extremely gifted angler. You have Alexander from Bosnia who had a bronze medal. But I can tell you, John caught 7 fish. He had a difficult deep beat. One of those beats, Tom, where you probably would have seen in Slovenia, where it's very hard to get the flies down.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? That
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to get the flies down to where they'll work. And so getting fish, he was going to be up against it because in the shallower riffles, you're getting a great opportunity to pick up a lot of fish very quickly. Where when you have to fight to get your flies down, grailing or hiding because you've no shallow riffles, you've got your catch rate is going to be reduced by 30-40%.
The next one then is the VA. Was there two sections of the VA?
There's two sections. There's the upper and the lower VA. Naturally, the upper is slightly shallower, and it gets bigger, which you'd expect as it goes on down. And you've Howard Croston from England, who's the former world champion down in Tasmania. You have Andres Torres, who I know personally. Wow, what an angler. I think I told you about him. He'll be fancy to do well. A tough group, this. You have Michael Bradley from America. You have Roman Heimlich, that fantastic angler from the Czech Republic. Steve Corser, very good angler from Scotland. He goes under the radar, but he's always very well placed. And you have the Frenchman, who they need no introduction. Pierre Kuntz, I think he won his group there today.
He had 47 fish. Brian Larkin was on that section.
And you look at the anglers that are up above him, like this is the first time that Brian has fished a FIPS-Mouche event. Pretty bloody good performance. You know, he's come in place. Like he's Anders Torres is in 10th place. He's Jerry Hicken and Steve Corser. All the guys are named. Roman, Lumic, Pierre Kuntz. Some of the best anglers in the world. And of course, the Slovakians here who, when it comes to Eastern Europe, the Slovakians always figure. They mightn't be the household names of the French or the Spanish or anglers or the Czechs, but they always feature when grayling are up for grabs. One of the big things that's going on here at the moment is the rotation of beats, which is something people mightn't be familiar with. So if I'm on beat 1, Tom, and you're on beat 2, halfway through the 3-hour session, we swap around. We change places. You pop down to 1 and I pop up to 2. So for argument's sake, Dave Conlan told me today, we thought 26 was a bad beat. And Dave got 26 and yeah, I think he had to be dragged kicking and screaming into the other one because it was hell for you know, but that's the way it is. I mean, we know the rules. We know what's ahead of us.
Just to ask you there, Dec, it's 3-hour sessions.
It's 3-hour sessions, except on the lake. It's a 4-hour session on the lake.
Right.
You're woken up at stupid o'clock, and maybe 5 o'clock in the morning to have breakfast. This is what I was talking about. I don't quite get that. I think it's over the top, but it's what they do to us. And you're on the river then for about 8, and the session starts at 9. So 9 then to 10:30, and then a half-hour break for the rotation. There was a bit of a difficulty about that. They just wanted you to step from one to the other, but no, it was agreed to be a half-hour for the rotation. What it does do is it gives you an extra beat. And Tom, you know what it's like if you get a really bad beat?
Yeah.
It can just kill you. This way, a bad beat, you might have hope when you move. You know, it might give you a bit of hope. And I think Brian was happy enough in both beats. I think he was happy enough that he was able to pick off fish.
He had 19 fish.
Yeah, 19 fish, and he had a couple of fish break him again. You know, he lost a few fish, disappointed losing. Difference between maybe coming 10th, coming 12th, but no, he's again, Brian he's good. He's very good nympher and technically very good fly fisherman as well.
What is the river rat? Is that grayling as well?
Mostly grayling. Now, they have chub in them in places where it's deep, on the sides of eddies and that. There's hutching in the rivers. You know that, do you?
No.
Hutcho. Yeah. Dave Conlan hooked one the day before yesterday, Evan X, but didn't even break on him. He let go of him. But he hooked him twice, I think. He hooked him twice. Messing around with hutcho when he's meant to be practicing on grayling, you know yourself.
Ah, sure. Yeah. Wouldn't we all do it?
We would if I just spotted one. It was between 80 and 90 centimeters. Like, these things are huge.
Oh,
You see them
wow.
in river otters and the chasing fish up the shallows, fantastic sight.
And
So,
so next one is the river. What is it? Huron.
yes, so this was the one Sean was going into, Sean Dempsey. This group is heavy, heavy duty. You have David Arcai, multiple
Yeah.
world champion.
Yeah.
You have Julie LNS, multiple world champion. You have Roman from Slovakia, serious angler. Dave from Poland. This is the heavy group, very much so. Some fantastic anglers in it. Devin Olsen, who had a really tough day. Devin Olsen would be kind of like America's superstar angler. He makes a lot of videos on nymphing and all that, pretty good stuff now, to be fair to him. But he had a tough day, but he'd 17 fish. Like, that's what you're up against. I mean, you've Graham Reynolds, who is for Sweden, but he's Irish. Graham, Reggie, they call him. You probably see him on, the Irish people might know him as Reggie. He's on Facebook. But Reggie is married to, I hope I have this right, he's married to a Swedish woman and lives in Sweden. And he's made the Swedish team.
Wow.
So he's feeding us with information, of course, just for the Swedish people, that they know that. He's feeding us with information.
Hello to all our listeners in Sweden.
Yeah, hello to all our listeners in Sweden. How many have we, Tom?
Hold on, I'll just go to the stats now.
But yeah, he had like Reggie 20 fish, and he finishes 20th.
Unreal.
What do you do? Like David Arcai, 62 fish. And Jan
Wow.
Mettinen of Finland, 48 fish.
And Sean Dempsey with 40.
Sean Dempsey, naturally, I think everyone is well aware at this stage that he's possibly one of our most talented young anglers. Gifted. Dry fly, wet fly, nymph, you name it, lake. Thinks things through properly. Very strategic. Has a purpose in everything he does. Has a strategy. Brings things to a level that I haven't seen with a lot of lads. But he's in that tough group, and he had 40 fish and finished 8th.
Holding his own.
Well, he'd be disappointed with that.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, he'd actually be disappointed with that. That's the way he thinks. Other lads think differently, but that's the way Sean thinks. He'd be thinking, well, why didn't I get, if I'd have got 42, I'd have finished 5th. That's the way he'd be thinking. Very small margin there. You're looking at 1, 2, 3 with 40, 2 with 41. So he knows another couple of fish. And no doubt Sean let fish go today. He lost fish. He always does, because he hooks a phenomenal amount of fish. He's normally quite clinical, but the grayling do come off. Sometimes we're finding if you hold the rod too low, they're coming off. You got to try and get them up fast through the current and into the net. Now that's Sean. Sean's on the lake tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll go on to the lake. That's the final one, and I've looked at that, and the lake seems to be bucking the trend with large numbers. Jesus.
The lake was brutal, and I went out to the lake today with a pair of binoculars and watched it from start to finish, and it was probably half the size of Lochlean in Collinstown.
Right.
To give you an idea. So, but you could see the whole lake because it's like in a valley. So I had a view of the whole lake. And you could see straight away, the first thing that struck me, it didn't look like anyone had a plan. No one knew where the fish were. So they were all just spreading out and getting away from one another. And it became apparent that I think this lake was possibly stocked 3 or 4 months ago. They stuck with the stocking policy that the club has, rather than lorrying a load of fish into it. And there's chub, but they don't count. I could see them along the shore, some quite big chub. And there's brook trout, and there's brown trout, and there's the stocked rainbows. However, I don't think there was any browns caught. Don't think there was any brook trout caught. I think it was all rainbow trout. And the tactics appeared to be DI5, DI6, DI7 lanes, and lures and blobs, and just lots of Hail Marys and pulling and changing your retrieve and that.
Yeah, well,
because,
I was just looking there, Dec. There was only 17 fish caught by 28 anglers. Over half the field blanked.
The one thing that stood out, and I said, my God, you have to hand it them. France got 2. Czechoslovakia got 2. Spain got 2. Italy got 2. And Poland got 2. All the top teams got 2 fish. The ones you'd expect to be there. And that's, you take, say, Sebastian Delcourt and David Chauncey. They're 2 of the best anglers in the world. Probably 2 of the best anglers that there's ever been. You've Ruben Santos of Spain. Those guys now have the lake in their pocket. It's gone. They have players' pints. That means they have a chance of meddling. Because Julian, David Arcai, they could go out onto that lake, and if they blank, that's 20, that's 25, 26, depending on 27 or 8, 28 place pints.
Yeah.
So, though these are the little intricacies of the scoring that has to be, brought to your attention. So once you put the lake in your pocket like that and you've caught fish, you are now, if you're a top angler, they will produce on the rivers. So that gives them a great chance of meddling individually.
Yeah.
We had, of course, Anne, first woman ever to fish for Ireland in a World Championships or Europeans. My God, just to get on to Anne, and I don't do this kind of just saying things for the sake of saying them. When Anne got this position on the team, she started training and she went out to Slovenia. She's been constantly on the river in Kantar, and she's been out here catching up to 30 grayling a day on the rivers in practice. The improvement when people are serious about something has to be seen to be believed. But she went out there today, and her strong point would be the lake fishing. She didn't put a foot wrong. She's watching it all day, the same as the other 14 people that didn't get a fish and caught a fish who didn't measure. And French guy, Sebastian, he had no fish, and his plan was gone. It wasn't working. And Anne brought her plan into play when she wanted to go on the lake, but it got Sebastian 2 fish. It didn't get her fish. So she was just a bit unlucky. One fish would have been huge. Like, if she'd got 1 fish, you were talking about anything from being placed 6th to 12th. It's an awful pity. But no, the head isn't down. Round to go. She's on the Rava tomorrow and good to go. That's the state of play. They move on again.
That's it. And just to ask you, so Dec, before we wrap up, where what's the position of the team?
15th out of 28th. Well, look, we'll be hoping to push higher than that. Hopefully, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But you can see there that the lads we have there at the moment are well capable of catching fish.
Yeah.
You saw with Sean, Brian, Dave's result, and if Anne had even got one, you could be talking winning an extra 14, 15 place points, So
yeah.
But the big thing today was to not be down at the bottom of the table. It was to be halfway, and we're halfway now. So let's hopefully keep looking up.
It's good. I'm just seeing there now. There's not a huge amount of place points there in that region. There's only 6 place points to 11.
And straight away, I look at England and 76. Can't help myself, can I?
No, first place you looked, but there's only 6 place points. Yep.
6 place points. But no, that's not too bad. But there's countries there that we can regularly beat. I'd be hoping we can still beat them. I can't believe where the USA are. But there again, that goes back to, I think I said it the last time I was talking to you, grayling. I think us fishing for grayling, or America fishing for grayling, or New Zealand or Australia, like someone is a good soccer player and a young lad is a good Gaelic player, and the soccer player never played Gaelic, and then you bring him into a Gaelic team at 18 to try to play Gaelic. We don't have grayling, and by God, they are so different. You're starting nearly 40% back. And when you look at the table there, look at it. It's all grayling countries at the top.
Really is, yeah. That's really surprising with USA. USA are 26th.
Yeah, that's unbelievable for you. Yeah, because they're normally up there. So I'm happy enough with that. Team's working well. They're a good team. Good team. They're all keen anglers. they're here to fish. You know, they're here to compete. And by them all doing well individually, naturally, you know, it works well as a team. But they're all good fly tyers as well. And the patterns aren't a problem. They're getting the patterns bang on. No, I think we've everything in place. We just need to try and keep up with the teams that are ahead of us, you know.
Well, Declan, thanks a million. It's been brilliant touching base with you, giving people a real insight for day one. And we'll check in with you again tomorrow and see how Ireland are getting on. Hopefully we can start climbing up that table from 15th.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy with that. 82 place points, you know. I still think there's a couple of big sessions in some of the team. I really do, you know. So excellent. Maybe tomorrow.
Cheers, Dec.
Thanks a million.
Bye.